Disclaimer, the comments made in this video are intended for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to offend anyone.
Welcome back, folks. This is the part of the internet where confidence alone is no longer enough, and talking points have to survive contact with facts. Sit back, because once the excuses run out, the truth gets very uncomfortable very fast. First up is a woke student who unloads a fog machine of theory, hoping confusion counts as proof.
How does your view of issues work when scientific anti-realism as a concept exists?
You're gonna explain that one.
Alright, so scientific anti-realism is the concept that when you see me, you see, my skin, my hands, everything about me. But you do not see my cells, you do not see my atoms, you do not see things that make up the things, they are just physical. So there is no really true way to prove, other than by hitting me, obviously, that I am right here. So
I just need you to narrow this down.
I would like to narrow it down to, we cannot fully identify a gender of a person right when we see them, so therefore I believe that it is not within my own individual liberty to gender that person.
Okay, here's my problem with that particular argument. The answer is that in 99.8%, 99.9% of cases, you absolutely can gender somebody based on looking. Like really, for nearly all of human history, out of partial ignorance and partially because this is usually true, it was out of simply looking at people's and assessing them based on their outward appearance, right? Which is still true for nearly all human beings on planet Earth at all times.
You can't really describe someone without secondary characteristics and gender them into something.
Well, I mean, you can based on primary characteristics if you can see their doctors do this literally at birth all the time, right? So this is but your point is correct. If somebody was male dressed female and I misgendered them and then they said, oh look, I'm male, zip, right? Then I would say correct. I would say for all of human history you were male. Now the standard is chromosomal, right? It's the SRNY gene and all of this. There is some objective standard, in other words, by which we can determine. The problem I have with the argument is that people are arguing that there is no objective standard, that no objective standard exists by which I can determine, and in fact sex is completely subjective. I can determine my own gender based on no biology and in fact in abeyance of biology. I can have every single biological characteristic of a male, and if I say I am female, then I am female. This is anti-scientific nonsense.
Big words, shaky logic. Then a calm response steps in and asks one simple thing called reality. The lecture hall goes quiet, the argument folds, and biology walks out undefeated. That is what happens when facts refuse to apologize. Next, here's a woke TV host who tries the quota routine, tossing smug comments like they count as arguments.
Maybe you just think that women should be equally represented in the decision-making fora of our nation.
I don't understand your question, I guess.
I guess you don't. That's pretty obvious, unfortunately.
Well, how about if you phrase it more clearly, instead of just insulting me? Look at it this way. Let's talk about quotas for a minute. There's a very wide array of jobs that are fundamentally done by men. 99.9% of bricklayers are men. Should we have quotas for women?
Is bricklaying representative democracy?
That has nothing to do with the question. The question is if there's evidence of structural inequality and oppression because women aren't precisely represented at 50% in all professions at all levels, then why don't we have a conversation about having women represented in all professions at all levels? Why do we talk about politics and positions of power? Why don't we talk about it across the board?
Then a calm, direct response flips the script with one simple question they never want asked. Suddenly the logic falls apart, the insults stop, and silence does the rest. Reality has a way of ruining talking points. Coming up, we've got a classic case of feelings meeting physics.
If a 6'5" 230-pound biological male boxer puts their hand up and says, I would like to compete in women's boxing, would you be happy with that?
There are 6'5", 300-pound cis women too. Can they not compete?
They don't have the same physiology as a biological male. They don't have the same lung capacity.
This woke guest tries to hand wave biology with talking points and vibes, hoping confidence replaces common sense. Then one blunt question about fairness lands, and the script breaks. No insults, no shouting, just reality stepping in and ending the debate on the spot. Up next is a courtroom-style showdown where woke etiquette meets a hard stop.
Now recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Chairman, could you repeat your introduction again, please?
We have set the standard on the floor of the House.
Would you repeat what you just said when you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America, please?
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency? I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this
You
hearing.
will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
One side demands language policing like it is law, while the other sticks to rules and refuses the script. The outrage ramps up, speeches get dramatic, and decency lectures start flying. In the end, the meltdown proves the point better than any argument ever could. Now for this one, a woke media narrative gets replayed so often they think it is harmless background noise.
I am sick of hearing people say, like Hillary Clinton did, oh, we condemn violence. Guess what? You can't call the president of the United States for 10 years Adolf Hitler.
Well, Hitler was duly elected.
And you can't say that he's a fascist dictator.
Modern day Gestapo is...
And you can't say that anyone who voted for Trump or advocated for him, like you, me, Riley, and Charlie Kirk, are Nazis.
That MAGA symbol has come to represent something. It is the new Nazi symbol. It is the...
And then when someone tries to kill us, you can't suddenly say, oh, we condemn this violence. You caused...
Then someone finally says it out loud and refuses to soften it. The accusations get named, the hypocrisy gets called, and suddenly the room feels uncomfortable. Turns out reckless rhetoric has consequences, and pretending otherwise does not make it noble. Here's a good one. A woke label gets tossed around like it explains everything until someone politely asks what it actually means.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Yeah.
When I grew up, calling someone queer was like a slur. Can you tell me what that means? I mean that sincerely. And how is it different than just saying you're lesbian or bisexual or gay?
So it can be different for everyone because gender, sexuality, it's a spectrum just like anything else. And for me personally, I like everyone.
No, but what does queer mean though?
Queer, it's just a label.
What does the label mean?
It's different for everyone.
Okay. No, I know, but that doesn't...
I hear people going, oh my god.
No, I just want I want a definition. I mean, I'm not trying to put you as a trap, though. I mean this, because when I grew up, if I called somebody queer, I would get in trouble. Just give me, like, a working definition.
Yeah, so queer is just something that you identify as with your sexuality. It can be related to gender, too.
Smiles fade, definitions vanish, and suddenly vibes are doing all the heavy lifting. Turns out when identity talk has no meaning, even basic questions feel like attacks. Confusion is not courage, it is just empty branding. Here comes a favorite. A woke buzzword gets dropped like it explains the whole world until Jordan asks for receipts.
So that's my idea of the patriarchy, which is a system of male dominance of society.
Yeah, but that's not my sense of the patriarchy.
So what's yours?
Well, in what sense is our society male dominated?
The fact that the vast majority of wealth is owned by men, the vast majority of capital is owned by men. Women do more unpaid labor.
Very tiny proportion of men, and a huge proportion of people who are seriously disaffected are men. Most people in prison are men. Most people who are on the street are men. Most victims of violent crime are men. Most people who commit are men. Most people who die in wars are men. People who do worse in school are men. Like, where's the dominance here precisely? What you're doing is you're taking a tiny substrata of hyper-successful men and using that to represent the entire structure of Western society. There's nothing about that that's vaguely appropriate.
But I could say equally well that most victims are women. Terrible things happen to people of both.
And you could say that with perfect utility, but that doesn't provide any evidence for the existence of a male-dominated patriarchy.
Well,
it just means that terrible things happen to both genders, which they certainly do. And to look backwards in time and say, well, basically what happened was men took the upper hand and persecuted women in this tyrannical patriarchy, it's absolutely dreadful misreading of history. It's a terrible thing to teach young women, and it's a horrible thing to inflict upon men.
The claims sound bold, but the data says otherwise. Suddenly, the narrative flips, the stats pile up, and the theory starts wobbling. Turns out shouting patriarchy is easier than defending it. Facts have a funny way of ruining slogans. Next up, we've got a PhD candidate treating common history like a pop quiz.
So you would be okay with restricting freedom of speech? You would be okay with restricting or creating actually speech laws if that were voted on by the masses?
If the masses want it, absolutely.
Fries, as someone, you said you're a PhD candidate, so you're obviously a very smart person. How you don't see the grave risk, the much more historically, just the unbelievable risk of violence associated with centralizing the power and who determines speech and what's permissible.
I simply ask you, Doris,
okay.
Can you give me the source
Nazi
on that?
Germany, Soviet Russia, Castro, Che Guevara regimes, current UK, Canada, Maoist China. Need I go on?
Absolutely. You said every country.
Can you provide me an example of every? Can you provide me an example with one country?
I'm sorry, but you said every.
Every single country that has limited freedom of speech, it has resulted in a net loss for human freedom.
Please give me an actual citation to back up your claim.
I just did.
No, a citation.
Okay, I don't have a scholarly source with me right now saying that Nazi Germany is worse off with speech laws than the United States.
He backs speech control with confidence, then demands citations for dictators everyone learned about in school. The logic stalls, the crowd notices, and the point lands anyway. When academia needs footnotes to admit tyranny, the argument has already collapsed. This time, it's a woke corporate fairy tale getting ripped apart in real time.
Instead of being ruled by these globalists that want us poor so they can dictate the terms of our surrender, we have to build the new Renaissance, build our own systems, build our own companies. Instead of a boycott, which is great against Anheuser-Busch or Target, we need a boycott. They know the boycott by populists, by Christians, by conservatives, by people that just want to be capitalists and live normal. We have to build the Great Awakening, and we have to call on God. Notice Target literally put out shirts with an artist that says, we are Satanists and we are going to recruit your kids. Here's the good news. They pulled it after a week.
Okay.
And then they got all these bomb threats from the LGBT pieces.
Yeah.
9. The crowd is told it is just branding and inclusion, nothing to question. Then someone actually lists what was being pushed and who signed off on it. Suddenly, the outrage shifts, the excuses dry up, and accountability becomes optional again. Funny how facts ruin marketing slogans. Now check this out. A simple street question turns woke logic into a pretzel.
These people are in an education system, but they can't answer a simple question.
Do you think you can change your gender?
Physically, yeah.
If you can change your gender, can you change your race?
No.
Why?
Because that's just how you're born.
Isn't your gender how you're also just born?
Yeah, I see where you're getting with, but right now we do have surgeries available to change gender. We don't have that for race yet. So maybe in the future that could be something.
One answer sounds confident until the follow-up lands. Suddenly, biology matters again, just not consistently. Smiles stay frozen, excuses start forming, and science becomes optional depending on convenience. Nothing exposes the script faster than letting it answer itself. In this next clip, we've got DEI talking points meeting a reality check.
Did you see that video? No, it's bananas.
A good percentage of people will not accept an offer with a company that doesn't have intentional DE&I programs and initiatives.
Talk to me, Pastor. Well, a few things. If DEI works anywhere, it has to work everywhere. Let me tell you where DEI does not work. The NBA and the NFL. Where are the Asian, Latino, Hispanic basketball and football players? Where are the black guys in the National Hockey League? Those businesses are performance-based. It really comes down to, Dr. Phil, the issue of justice. And if you really want to go deep to the heart of this, and when I say that DEI treats the symptom but not the sickness, America is in a new civil war right now. The first civil war was the North versus the South. The new civil war is a war of ideologies.
How crazy is that? Is fucked up. How crazy is that?
One side promises inclusion fixes everything, delivered with corporate confidence. Then a calm breakdown hits, pointing out where performance actually matters and feelings do not. The smiles fade, the room gets quiet, and suddenly merit is not such a dirty word after all. Here's a good one. A woke reporter tries the guilt routine, implying success cancels your right to complain.
What's your most important issue?
The economy, getting the interest rates down, getting it where we can afford to live in America. Right now, it's too expensive.
Okay, now let me maybe ask like a slightly impolite question. But, if you can afford a boat, you're not hurting so bad, right? Because a boat costs a lot of money and it's a lot of upkeep.
Listen, nobody gave me shit. I earned everything that I've got. I'm retired military, retired power plant, and I am successful and retired and with boats, jet skis, because I did it right. And everybody has that chance. Whether they choose or not, that's up to them.
Bad move. The answer comes fast and unapologetic. Earned success, decades of work, no handouts. Suddenly the narrative falls apart and personal responsibility shows up uninvited. Turns out working hard still ruins a lot of talking points. Here we have a floor speech that woke rules were not ready for.
This Republican representative shut down the woke pronoun debate in the Senate and refused to play by the rules of woke nonsense.
And I refuse to participate. I'm not adopting your language. I'm not respecting your preferences because you don't own reality. You don't own grammar. You don't own definitions. You don't get to tell me. You're not important enough to provide me with an instruction manual on how to talk to you. Are you kidding? How important do you have to think you are to list at the bottom of your emails? And yeah, I see you laughing about it. about it. It's hilarious, isn't it? But what are the consequences for not abiding by it? What would happen in this chamber if I were to address Representative Finke? Need I continue? What would the consequences be?
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you for standing up, Mr. Walter. Why is America becoming like this?
It starts with demands to obey made-up language, like reality needs a software update. Then one guy refuses to play along and asks a simple question about consequences. Instantly, the outrage erupts and the hall panics. Nothing exposes fake authority faster than saying no. Now for this one. A public meeting expects polite scripts and soft voices. Then reality walks up to the mic uninvited.
This is what unfiltered grandpa looks like.
Good evening, cowards. A bunch of fat, ugly women. What?
Excuse you.
They're fat, ugly women is what they are.
We're not having that.
You don't have to. Bye.
That ain't free speech.
It's called free speech. Bye.
That's not free speech. That's insulting.
Bye. That's it. Shut up. And we wonder why children are retarded stupid today. We wonder why when we have these pathetic people here called teachers the children's mind. That's why you people don't have the brains to see that this could be hurting children of the future who are going to grow up and be just as dumb as you people.
The rules get cited, feelings get hurt, and order is demanded fast. But the message still lands. When institutions refuse accountability, even raw outrage finds a microphone and refuses to whisper. Up next is a media ambush that goes sideways fast.
Holy shit. He said what?
A lot of lawyers say calling for impeachment, the radical left lunatic, that this rhetoric, it's not the type of thing the president should say. He should appeal. He should abide by the court ruling and not.
Listen, by the way, was there any complaint from PBS or was there any complaint by the Democrats on the rhetoric used against the judges when the Roe v. Wade decision came out and they had to have police protection at their houses? I don't remember anything about the rhetoric being too high. You guys are so fucking phony. This is why we're defeating the left. The American people, as they see this, they go, these guys are a bunch of fucking lying scumbags. Which you are, a bunch of lying fucking scumbags.
The question sounds polite, wrapped in concern and fake civility. Then the double standard gets called out, loudly and clearly. Suddenly, the script is gone, the mask slips, and the outrage turns personal. Funny how truth makes the professional pearl clutchers panic. Now, a woke anchor thinks she is running a safe, sanitized segment until one honest line detonates the studio.
This woke reporter fell right into this man's booby trap.
I believe in only two things completely, the First Amendment and so once they made the decision, we're not going to allow a conservative, non-sports-related commentary.
Hold on, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly as a woman anchoring the show. What did you just say? You believe in the First Amendment and BWOBS?
Two things that have only never let me down in this entire country's history, the First Amendment and...
I'm astonished at almost everything I just heard. So for somebody to come on CNN...
I'm still there too, and I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. B-O-O-Z-E or B-O-O-B-S? Because as a woman,
I believe completely in the First Amendment and in... Those are the only two things I believe 100% in this country.
Guys, why would you even say that live on national television and with a female host?
I say it live on the radio all the time because it's true and that's what I do.
The outrage kicks in, the moral lectures start, and the shock is very real. Meanwhile, the guest does not apologize, does not retreat, and lets the meltdown speak for itself. Live TV hates unscripted honesty. And finally, we've got a woke accusation spiraling out of control.
After this unhinged liberal repeatedly called him a slave master, this young man stepped in and explained himself in the best way possible.
You talk about black women, but all your staff is black.
Yeah, that means I'm not racist.
No, what it is that you're a slave master. You enslave black people to work for you, and at the same time, you talk about their mothers, their sisters, their aunties, their uncles, and they work for you.
Let me be honest with you, bro. You came in here, and you immediately made it about race. Black people are the most racist people ever. You guys perpetuate the very stereotypes and the racism that you guys complain about the most. And this is why I make fun of black people, too. So you came in here with an agenda to complain about my criticism of black women, when I literally criticize everybody. Everybody gets criticized. It just so happens that they tend to get it most. Hey, somebody's got to call out the monkey behavior, like right now.
I'm a monkey.
Yeah, this is a monkey behavior right now. Yeah. Yo, you tripping out. You're not making any real arguments. You're just talking about race, blah, blah, blah.
The playbook starts with race baiting and moral grandstanding, hoping outrage replaces logic. Instead, the argument gets flipped, the double standards get exposed, and the emotional rant collapses. When everything becomes about identity, substance disappears fast, and the crowd can see it happen live. And that brings us to the end of another episode. No rage quitting, no apologies, no walking things back. Just honesty landing exactly where it needed to. If you enjoyed watching slogans lose their power and reality take center stage, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Because as long as people keep talking without thinking, there will always be another episode waiting.